Hey, my name is Raul, and this is exactly how I run multiple international online businesses right from my bedroom in Malaysia. You see, this journey that I went on, I didn't know everything every day. I didn't know which step to take. I didn't know which decision to take. I simply became obsessed with becoming the best version of myself. And that is what truly helped me achieve every goal and every dream that I've set out to achieve. Now, you must be wondering, if you've clicked on this video, then I'm sure you're wondering how in the world I managed to build what I did from the comfort of my bedroom in this little known country called Malaysia. Well, my friend, I'm here to tell you that every single thing that I did, I looked at whether or not this would bring me closer or further from my goal. Now listen, what I am going to share with you next is bits and pieces of my story so that you can understand a little bit about me, where I come from, how I did, what I had to go through. I'm not going to share with you everything simply because we do not have the time, but I am going to share with you the gist of it. What you can take from this story is not a get-rich-quick scheme. What you can take from this story is not a process or a framework or a solution that would guarantee you $150,000 in monthly recurring revenue in the next 90 days. That is not what I am going to do for you. Instead, what I will do for you is teach you how to build the blocks that you need, and then how to stack those blocks on top of each other so that you can build a foundation so strong, a foundation so impenetrable that you could build a skyscraper as big and as tall as you would like, and it would never fall. My goal for you is to give you the tools that you need to create your dream life exactly how you want it to be. But before we get there, I would like to share an analogy with you. You see, I look at every human like candles, and I believe that God has blessed us all with flames. And He has blessed me with a flame that burns so bright, so intensely, that burns so crazily. And I know that all that abundance is not just for me. I know now that He has gifted me with that flame so that I can use that flame and help others light their candles and then teach them to light other candles as well. So that years and years and years down the line, when my candle is slowly wavering off, turning into melted wax, I will be able to turn around and look at the millions of candles that we have lit together, and then I would be able to watch those candles light one candle at a time. So that we, together, as a community, as a team, as a family, would be able to make this dark world just a little bit more brighter. That, my friends, my viewers, my audience, that is my mission. Alright, now getting to my story. Who I was, who I am, how I became the person that I am. But let's start way back at the beginning. My parents, my mom and my dad, I love them to death. They're literally my everything. They're the reasons I do what I do. My main reasons. Now, my mom was diagnosed with a medical condition. Now, this medical condition didn't exactly forbid her from giving birth to a healthy baby, but made the chances of her conceiving and giving birth to a healthy baby very, very low. Somehow, I'm sitting here, living, breathing, smiling, laughing, and spreading love, peace, and joy. And it was all God's grace. Now, I was born about 6 weeks overdue, if I'm not mistaken. And throughout the process of my mom being pregnant, the doctors didn't really have high hopes. Neither did my parents, because they were very, very well aware of the medical condition. And they were expecting a miscarriage. But I fought. Oh, I fought. And when I was overdue, the doctors basically wrote me off. They said, no way is this child going to come out healthy. Even if it does come out, it's not going to be healthy. He's not going to make it. And then, very, very early in the morning, my mom was rushed to the hospital for an emergency C-section because the umbilical cord was stuck around my neck. My probabilities of surviving was already low, just made it that much more lower. Anyways, the procedure went through, and when I came out, the entire right side of my body was supposed to be paralyzed. I'll show you something pretty funny about me. I've got two kinds of thumbs. My left thumb is normal, like everyone else has it, and then I have another kind of thumb, which is a bit crooked. Can't really fix it. The reason for that is because the entire right side of my body is different to the left. The right side of my body was supposed to be paralyzed, and for the first 4 years of my life, my hand was in a fist like this. So I quite literally came out fighting. I quite literally was fighting wars and coming out victorious from day one. And I was too young. I was literally just born, and the point is, I know that I didn't fight that well myself. There was something bigger than me, something above me, which most of us call God. He, she, it, whatever it may be, fought for me and made sure that I came out. When I heard this story years and years down the line, I realized that I had a mission. God fought for me. I had to become something in this life, and I had to do something for this world. The fact of the matter is, the chances of us being born is trillions to one. The fact that we were chosen to be put on this earth alongside everything else and everyone else around us, around the surroundings, our environment. The fact that we were chosen to be put on this earth is already something so special, so valuable, that most of us don't value enough. Anyways, I digress. Getting back to my story, the first 4 years of my life, my hand was in a fist, and slowly it came out, but my thumb never really came out the right way. And then, at 6 years old, my parents had a divorce. Their marriage has always been shaky. They could never get along. They fought worse than cats and dogs. They could never get along. But one thing they had in similarity was their love for me, their care for me, and their need to make sure that I was well taken care of. They never let me see their struggles, but I knew how much they struggled for me. I knew how much they pulled every stop, took every chance, did everything they possibly could to give me a life that I could be proud of. I hope that most of you can relate to what I just said, but to the ones that don't relate, I promise you that you're still special. I promise you that you may not feel that you are special, but you are. Every being is special. And you will come to realize when you mature, when you understand the true workings of this world and nature. Now, when my parents had the divorce, before the separation, my dad was doing financially well. He was an entrepreneur, he ran his own companies, but he loved me so much that when I was taken away from home, that was the first thing that put a crack in his armor. The second thing was, at the time, he was with his girlfriend, a partner, and they never really had a good relationship either, so he never had a place to call home, never had peace. And then while that was going on, his best friend, his queen, his mother, passed on. He suffered blow after blow after blow, and it brought him down to a point where he could not run his business anymore. So he put his trust elsewhere in other management, and whatever happened there, the company crumbled. Now, when this company crumbled, my dad, he made a decision walk out. He took all the debt, he took everything that the company had done wrong, and he said, I will fix this myself. But before we get there, let's reverse a little bit, and let me tell you a little story about where I found my passion for sales and marketing. My dad used to run a company that used to do this thing called tech sales. It's not a thing in today's generation anymore. This was years and years and years ago. And I was much, much younger at the time. But tech sales essentially was inviting people to like a seminar. In today's world, it would be like a webinar funnel. But back then, it was inviting people to a seminar or basically like a hotel room, an event space, and they would have tables. And each of these tables would have their own closers, and they would each be trying to close a deal. And people would come in, they would sit down at a random table with a random closer, and they would try and close the deal. Oh, it would have been so fun if I had it right now. Imagine just a constant flow of leads. You just got to close them and you keep meeting. It's meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and you just keep closing and closing and closing. Anyways, I digress again. I used to follow my dad for these events. And he used to have a code that he would take out when he's having the meeting with his prospect. What I would do as a little kid is I would put on that code, and I'd sit down next to him and I'll tell him, I call him Dada, baby language. To this day, I still call him Dada actually, but I tell him, Dada, let me sell. And I would sit down and I would watch him sell and I would learn. And then I would help him close the deal, however I could. Of course, relied 99% on him and 1% on me. But the point is, I was there having those experiences, learning from him and absorbing him and his knowledge and his expertise, and understanding how he closed the deal, how he broke the psychological barriers, how he built the rapport, how he handled the objections. And I learned, and then that company shut down as well when everything that I just spoke about happened. But the point is, that is where I realized that sales and marketing is something so powerful. So powerful. And it can be used in two ways, just like any power. You could use it to do good in this world, or you could use it to do bad in this world. There are people like con men out there, scammers, that use sales and marketing to do bad in this world. And then there are people like us, consultants, that use sales and marketing to help this world and help other people reach their goals and dreams, help companies reach their goals and dreams. And that's where I found out that I had a love for sales and marketing. Rewind again to when I was 3 years old, that was the birth of RSK. Now, RSK is my initials. And for those of you who know, RSK is also my brand, RSK Conglomerate. Our group of companies is called RSK Conglomerate. And I told people from 3 years old, I told everyone, I said, one day, RSK is going to be an international brand. I had this obsession with bringing my name everywhere. It could be anything. And I wanted my name to be that. And I told them from 3 years old, just as a kid, I would be shouting about my dreams. Oh, RSK is going to be this, and that, and this, that, this, and that. And they would laugh and clap along. But I meant every word that I said. And I truly meant every word that I said. And today I'm doing exactly what I said all those years ago. Okay, now, getting back to when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. As I started to grow a little bit older, my maturity levels didn't match, of course. I was still very young, immature, ungrateful. My relationship with my mom and my dad started to deteriorate a little bit. Both my mom and my dad. I was just angry because I didn't understand what was going on. And with that anger and frustration, of course, I would do my best not to show it to the world, but the ones that knew. Now, my relationship with them deteriorated. It is not because of them. They did everything they could to give me the life that they wanted. My mom hustled heavy and hard, and she juggled multiple jobs to support my grandmother and I, because my grandmother took us in after my mom separated from my dad. And my dad, he worked tirelessly. He worked tirelessly with zero complaints. He never let us see the problems that he had. I knew, but he never wanted me to know. And it was the same thing with my mom. She never wanted me to know about those problems, but I knew. I could see. I was living in the house. I could see these things happening around me. But I was too young to truly grasp what they were doing for me. And I could only be angry and frustrated with all the problems that were happening to the people that I loved most, and I couldn't do anything about it. So instead of going out there and trying to find a way to do something about it, I ended up getting involved in all the wrong things in life. I went down the wrong path for a few years, getting involved in all the wrong things, doing all the bad things, just basically wasting my life away because all I had in me was anger and frustration. And I will regret nothing. I will not regret anything. Because those experiences that I had in those few years built a foundation for me today. When I was going through it, I didn't understand why I had to go through these problems. And I took out my problems on the world. I took out my problems on myself. And I just lived fast. You know how every young, dumb and immature kid is thinking, live fast, die young, right? I didn't see the true importance and true value of what was gifted to me by God Himself. Until a few years later, my dad had a stroke. Again, with God's grace, he came out the other side. Not at 100%, but it wasn't as bad as some cases. When I saw that, when I saw my king, I may have had problems with him or my anger and frustrations that was, by the way, baseless, but I may have had those things with him, but he was still my king and she was still my queen. When I saw him fall, when I saw him on a bed with no energy to fight the way he used to, I realized how fast life could change with just the blink of an eye, and you don't even know it could happen to you. You wouldn't even see it coming until it's happened. That, along with a few other experiences that I had back to back, made me understand true value and importance of life and living it the right way. Made me understand that there was more to life than what I thought. Made me understand that I may have thought that I was the biggest. I may have had all these people around me telling me how great I am, telling me how amazing I am, telling me how brave I am, this, that, and the other. But they never loved me. Though that experience and then a couple of other experiences that I went through after that made me realize that in life, you get to choose your reality by changing your perception. The way you look at things, the way you absorb things, will dictate the way you live your life. You could go out on a run, take a route you've never taken before, and fall and scrape your knees, and come back home and say, I'm never going out running again, or I'm never going to explore new routes again. Or you could say, okay, I'm going to continue exploring new routes and I'm going to continue running. I'm just not going to take that route now because I've scraped my knees. I'm not going to cry about it. It was my decision. I've made it happen. It happened. I learned. I gained value from it. And I'm going to use that value and become better. That is simply just changing your perception. And those multiple experiences that I had helped me change that perception. That is the first skill that I've learned. At that point, that was the first skill that I learned. It was about controlling my perception to dictate my reality.
All right, and the next part of my story is going to be focusing on my entrepreneurial journey. It's going to be focusing on my challenges, my successes, my victories, my lessons, my experiences. It was one hell of a journey. It still is one hell of a journey. It was fun. It still is fun. It's exciting. And I learn new things every day. And hopefully, what I'm about to tell you next will teach you some things. All right, so it all started when I was about 9 years old. I had an older friend that was very much interested and involved in the shoes and clothes industry. And he used to sell these shoes and sell these clothes, and my job was to help him market and sell them. So we would make pictures and videos and posters on Instagram, and I would sell them to my friends and friends of friends. And I learned a lot of skills. One of the main skills that I learned from there is the power of network marketing. Anyways, made a couple of bucks there, learned some things, and then I moved on to my next venture a few years later with an older cousin of mine. We put in some money together and we bought our first scrap. Now, at this point, I was still very young, very new into business. I was fresh. I was a virgin in the business world. But we got this car from the scrapyard and we built it up and we sold it and we made a couple of $1,000 from there. And I was like, whoa, that's the first big money I've seen off one deal? Crazy. So we took the money that we made, we repeated the process again and again and again. And I was this 13, 14-year-old guy with my cousin, which is much older, and we would be driving all around, going to different used car lots, and I would be negotiating with the salesmen. And I would have to make them take me seriously, right? Because they're gonna see like young guy. I never really looked like a kid back then, but they said, hey, young guy, he can't afford none, or he's here just playing around. So I had to find out all of these psychological tricks to get them to respect me and actually show them that, hey, I'm serious about this, and negotiate with me, give me a good price, give me a fair price. So I learned the skill of negotiation, I learned the skill of people handling, I learned the skill of sales, of marketing online, because we used to sell our vehicles on Facebook and Telegram. Yeah, Telegram. We used to sell it on Instagram, on WhatsApp. We used to, of course, network marketing, stuff like that, right? Now, when we did that, we also realized that, hey, people are also looking for number plates, because over here in Malaysia, I'm not sure where you guys are from, but in Malaysia, number plates are like an exclusive thing. So we said, hey, okay, let's find out what kind of number plates. Let's look at the market. Let's go out there. Let's tender or bid for the right plates. Keep it with us. And when the time is right, let's sell it. So we were doing that. We were repeating the process, making a little bit of money here and there. Then we decided, let's open a car club. And this car club was going to be transitioned into like a race team, and we were going to have a string of workshops, we were going to have a clubhouse, we were going to have all these things, and we had big dreams, right? But we needed a few $100,000, which we did not have at the time. And me and him, we would be hustling for it. Just, okay, let's chase this, let's chase that. He had a corporate job in BMW, and along the way he said, okay, I'm going to go chase my corporate dreams, and I'm going to chase the corporate ladder. While I said, I could never do that. So in our professional careers, we drifted apart. In our hearts, we're still together. Now, when my cousin and I decided to stop working together, I realized I was meant for much better, for much bigger. The vehicle of business that I was using didn't give me the return on investment that I was hoping for. I put in a lot of energy, I put in a lot of labor, but I didn't really see those returns the way I knew was possible. Which was when I realized that I had to run a business and build a company inside of an industry that I could run worldwide. But I had one limitation. I was young, traveling around the world right now. I didn't have the funds for it. So I knew I had to start a business online. So I tried dropshipping, like everyone was doing. Of course, at the time that I did try dropshipping, the hype was only just building. Tried it out, made a couple of bucks, but I still knew I needed more. I knew there was something more. Which was when I realized that my passion was in sales and marketing. My passion was in making something that looked like nothing, $1 million company. My passion was doing the impossible. through the magic of sales and marketing. So what I did next was I honed those skills. I spent the next 3 to 6 months, hours on end, learning the exact skills that I needed to call myself an expert marketeer and a master closer. Once I've learned those skills, I decided to start my first ever truly successful company, Salvatore Digital. What started as only a digital marketing agency has today grown into a full-scale international consultancy firm. And we work with companies and we help them find the gaps and barriers that they have in their company that is holding them back from achieving their truest potentials. We take over their entire client acquisition process. We train, hire, and coach their team, and we build systems that will automate this whole thing for them. So they never have to worry about where their next dollar is coming in, and they can focus on what they do best while we focus on what we do best. A perfect partnership if there ever was one. Now, Salvatore Digital was not always what it is today. There was a period in our lives where Salvatore was honestly nothing. We wanted to give up on it so many times because there was a good 8 months of our life when we were on the come up, when we were building Salvatore, where we would spend countless hours, 20 hours a day minimum, and that's an understatement, I'm pretty sure, because I remember days where we would not eat, sleep, or shit, 3-4 days a stretch, and then we would crash. Anyways, we went through all of that, right? And there was a good 8 months where we would wake up at 5 a.m. and from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. we would plan out our day, do our meditation, our journaling, do some learning, do some call recording. We would re-listen to our call recordings, and then from 9 a.m. until 6 a.m. we would cold call on the dial-up, pop, 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 pop. We would call every goddamn company that we knew of, everything that we could find on Google, every number that we could get, we would call. It got to a point where we would just be randomly driving around and we were like, oh, we've called this company, we've called that company, or this company's manager's name is this company's manager's name is that. And there was just one fun experience. But the point is, we would call and call and call and call and call, and then we would book 1 or 2 meetings, and we would screw up that meeting, and we would have that meeting, and then we would just continuously hit failure after failure after failure. So we would work and work and work and work and work, and we never actually got that monetary return. But what we did get was experience and knowledge. We had now meetings that we could rewatch and learn from where we lost the deal. We had call recordings from failed cold calls. We had cold emails that we would do from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. And then from 10 p.m. to about 2 a.m. we would just be again rewatching all of our calls and re-listening to all the cold calls, rereading all the cold emails, re-strategizing. Maybe we should try that. Maybe we should try this. Maybe we should try that. And then we would somehow force ourselves to sleep because we were just so on the ball about everything. We would force ourselves to sleep and somehow get up the next day and just keep going. And every day we were doing the same thing over and over and over again. Now, at the time, there's a whole other story with Dom, which we would get into in another episode and another video. For now, let's just speak about this, right? Anyway, so this 8 months was the most exciting, painful 8 months of our lives because we learned so much, but we worked so hard and we never saw anything at all until we signed our first client. And this guy was paying us, 3,000 ringgit. My country's currency is called ringgit, so that's like less than $1,000 a month. But he was our God. He could call us at 3 in the morning and I would wake up from my bed and I'll say, what do you need? I'm gonna get it done for you. We barely knew how to build a website at the time, but he needed a website, so we learned. We learned how to build a website and we built that website for him, and we spent like a month. And these times we would not sleep, we would not eat, we would not shit, we would not do anything for 4 or 5 days straight. Sounds crazy, but these were the things. We were running on caffeine and just hopes and dreams. Well, at least Dom was running on caffeine. I never drank caffeine at the time. I was running on hopes and dreams. And we pushed ourselves to the absolute limits. And we made some money, and to us, that money was everything. We learned how to do Facebook ads for him. We learned copywriting for him. We learned graphic design because we knew how to do these things, but it was the first time we were putting ourselves into the real world and applying all these things. So we learned so much with him. And this first client of ours, if we can get a picture of him, if he's okay with it, we'll put this picture up. He was the start of everything. He gave us that space to learn and fail and grow. And the money that we did make from it, we decided to invest it back into ourselves. We invested in courses, in books. We invested in going out to networking events and stuff like that, right? And along the way, we stopped working with him because he went on to a different path in his life. And we decided that, okay, we're not going to stop. So we lost that one client that we had. And then we signed one more. And then whatever we learned from our first client, we applied it to this client. And we created guarantees and irresistible offers. And we learned the psychology of everything. The point is we learned and learned and learned and learned and learned. And slowly, we started to sign more clients, book more meetings, and we started to hire people to do the calls for us, to do the emails for us. And we just used every single penny that we had right from the start to invest it back into ourselves or the company. And then it came a time where we decided, okay, we're making about, $2,000 a month, which is not a lot, but at the point it was everything to us. And we said, okay, let's let loose a bit. So my partner Dom and his family, all of them went to a holiday in Japan. Now, if some of you know, Japan is a little bit on the pricey side, at the time at least, for us, right? So he would call me, he would say, hey, should I spend this? Should I spend that? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I told him, hey, you know what? We worked hard, bro. Spend it. Have a good time. I expected him to spend a little bit and come back with something, but no, when he came back and when we looked at our accounts, we had a whole bunch of zeros. We had like $10 left or something like that. So we started the whole process again, and we did it again for another 3 months now. And we built it and scaled it and scaled it and scaled it and scaled it until we hit about $10,000 a month. Then we fell again. We started to realize that there were things in the market that the clients needed and wanted, but there were not many people offering those things. So we didn't exactly fall, but we decided to stop everything for 3 months. No income. We were basically just running on whatever we had already made. And in those 3 months, I decided to say, hey, look, we are hitting a glass ceiling. We need to find a way to provide more value. And of course, in return, ask for more money, a higher retainer. We had to give more into the market. Which is when I looked at everything and I realized, hey, okay, so we're generating leads for these companies, but these companies can't close. If we're working with a dental clinic, they're dentists. They're not salespeople. They're not marketeers. We can get leads for them, huge leads, a huge amount of leads, or we could get a great amount of leads, great quality leads, whatever it may be. But they may not be able to close as well as we can. So what I decided to do, I said, okay, let's start closing the deals ourselves. And then we priced it a little bit more and started guaranteeing clients instead of leads or appointments. We started to do that, and we started to hit a lot of refunds. We started to lose a lot of money, and we started to play with the offer a little bit, structure it in different ways. And we came up with our power offer that resonated perfectly with our target audience. That was the start of our rise. All we had to do was push this offer out and people would jump on it. What we would do is we would take care of the entire client acquisition. We would take care of lead generation to the booked meeting, all the way up to closing the deal. With whatever industry we were working in, we would have a 2-week game plan. We would build a 2-week game plan with our clients, and we would convert that 2-week game plan into a 90-day goal. So they would work with us for 12 months in total. Normally our average LTV was about 12 months. And it would all start from our first 3 months and 2 weeks. And they would see that kind of results. And they would continue working with us and continue working with us. And every client that we got, we treated them as our gods. We were equals for sure, but you're my client and I'm going to learn everything I possibly can. And then I started training people. I started hiring people and training them how to do what I do, which was when I realized, hey, I could offer this training as a service to my clients as well. So we could offer them as a downsell or a smaller package where I'm just going to step into your company, find out your issues and help you to fix them. I'm not going to fix them for you, but I'll help you fix them. I'll coach you and train you. So we got that now. So we had these two offers running together, and then we branched out a bit in a couple of other industries, but all of that is a story for another time. The point of the matter is there were ups and downs. There were days where we just wanted to give up, and there were days where me and him, when I say him, I mean Dom, we would fight. He would tell me like, hey man, we're working so hard, we're not making anything, we're not doing anything. I said, no dude, wait, when it rains, it's gonna pour. When it rains, it's gonna pour. So we worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. We didn't see any money, but we learned a bit. We sharpened our sword a bit. And then we did it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. The reason God did it pour onto us all the wealth and all the success that we wanted so badly is because He knew that our swords were not sharp enough. And as soon as He sharpened our swords, He put us into battle, and we've been victorious ever since. Touch wood. Now, I'm going to end this off here, but I want you guys to understand that anything you put your mind to is possible in this world. If you have a goal in your mind, a dream that you know is possible, you will make it as long as you wake up every single day with one goal in mind, and that goal is to win. My friend, be the apex predator. Be the champion of your own life, because nobody is coming to save you. That is your job and your job only. Cheers.